I guess we're about to find out if there really is a wormhole in that storm.
Now, if you haven't watched Island yet, before I start this video, you need to go watch it because I'm going to spoil all of it. And if you need some convincing, just go watch my last Island video, it's linked in the card above. As of writing this today, the finale just aired, and I'm currently kind of crying. What started off as a dumb, cute slice of life with half its run finally got into the deep plot that it promised, and it did so beautifully. As I said in my last video, Island was on my dub-only watch list, but the newest episode forced me to change my mind so that I could watch the finale on date and make a second and well-deserved and needed video. Rine is starting to remember more about the Setsuna she lived with and loved. A strange island that only appears when a storm is coming may hold the secret she's been looking for. Rine decides to go look for him, and our Setsuna comes with her to keep her safe. Once we make it to the island, Setsuna goes looking for Rine's Setsuna, and because this gets confusing, let's just change the names. Our main character will be Setsuna, and the guy from Rine's flashbacks, we'll call him S. Setsuna finds a small cave and goes inside. Inside, there's strange technology we've never seen before, and S's skeleton sitting in the corner with the journal detailing his thoughts that saving Rine is the only thing that matters to him. Setsuna shows her everything he's found, and they decide to stay on the island a little bit longer to give her some time to deal with what they found. We're given some amazing new wallpapers, and it's time to go home. Our next shot is of Setsuna waking up in bed and running to the door. Sarah and Karin are there dressed in all black, and they've come to Rine's funeral. She died in the storm trying to return to the island. Her mother Kuon slaps Setsuna and tells him that he broke the only promise he needed to keep. He failed at keeping Rine safe. Lost and in despair, Setsuna wanders for who knows how long, alone and mumbling to himself about who he failed to save and why he even came back in time in the first place. Kuon and a scientist from the mainland bring Setsuna with them to discuss something important they've discovered. A pod they found where time moves differently inside. Setsuna gets inside with the hope that he can save Rine, and the real show finally begins. We awake in a cold, dark room, familiar and different faces everywhere. The people of the island are gathered to listen to the daughter of the church's cardinal. Setsuna and Rine are here, although this Rine is completely different. I would argue better in every way, and I think I might have just fallen in love.
Anything interesting today?
Of course not, you dummy. But knowing you, you'll still manage to make everything taste good anyway. So can I count on you for later on tonight?
For sure.
Some children cause a diversion with smoke bombs to run into the crowd and steal food. The members of the church start shooting randomly into the crowd with zero concern for who they hit. We're no longer on the original island. This is Never Island. Setsuna awoke here with no memories, and this Rine found him in his pod and brought him into her home. The outside world is cold and dead. The only habitable location is Never Island, and they're running out of food and fast. The church is struggling to keep control of the people and is looking for any way to save themselves. In the chaos, Sarah, the cardinal's daughter, is hit by one of the shooters and knocked out. Setsuna and Rine save her, and she asks them for a favor. Everyone on the island is a ticketed member of society. Everyone who isn't given a ticket is outcast and left to die. Sarah wants to sneak food to these unticketed children to keep them alive, and needs Setsuna and Rine to help bring down the food. Before we can get to that, let's talk a little more about Setsuna and Never Island Rine. Rine is a sort of mechanic with a Kino's Journey-esque design. She's working on a machine that her family has had the blueprints for generations, and she has no idea what it actually does. She tests on Setsuna because, hey, she already found him in one strange pod, so why not throw him into another one? Her machine is able to stop the passenger from experiencing time. What was one moment for Rine outside felt much longer for Setsuna. After that test, she needs more parts to repair and finish her machine. Now, back to Sarah. Those three deliver the food to the unticketed children, and we learn that the church is planning on killing every one of them because they need to save food and energy for themselves. Immediately after learning that, the church invades and starts capturing the children. Setsuna rushes to protect Rine, and they escape back to her secret room where her machine is. Their next goal is to save the children. With Sarah's guidance, they find where the unticketed children are being held, but every last one of them is lying dead on the floor. The church is dark and will stop at nothing to save themselves. They shoot at Sister Sarah, injuring her and killing her friend. Setsuna and the others escape, only to watch the church kill the cardinal and accuse Sarah of being a witch who betrayed her own people and father. The church tries to burn them alive, but Rene sets off fireworks and declares terrorists are attacking, which sends everybody running, giving her enough time to free the others and escape the island. Sarah, Setsuna, Rene, and Karen, who is the last of the unticketed, escape to a cave in the outside world. During their walk, Sarah becomes noticeably weaker as she starts to bleed out from her bullet wound. Sarah passes away and they build a small grave for her before continuing on towards the cave. With enough food to last 2 weeks, Rene starts figuring out how all the technology works and starts finishing her machine. Unfortunately, as those 2 weeks pass, Karen, being exposed to sunlight for the first time, has soot blight syndrome and also passes away before she can be treated. With only Rene and Setsuna left, Rene finishes her machine and decides to let Setsuna go back in time to save everyone. Setsuna makes them engagement rings and they have a symbolic wedding before saying their final goodbyes and promising never to forget about each other and the love they share. Basically back to episode 1, where Setsuna wakes up naked on a beach, but this time retains most of his memories and proves to everybody that he knows the future and helps them overcome their issues quicker and better than before. Setsuna wants to know more about Kuon because of a weird feeling he's been getting, so he calls the lab scientist that helped him travel back to Never Island. She tells him that when she met Kuon, she was dramatically different from how her boss described her, saying it's almost like she was a completely different person. Slowly piecing together events from the island and Never Island that he can remember, Setsuna finds Rene's father's journal and discovers something that changes everything he knew. Kuon died years ago, on the year that Rene was born. Kuon was unable to give birth to a child, and that caused problems for the family. With no heir, no one would inherit the power of the family, and the dynamic of the island would be upset. Then a girl washed up on the beach with very little of her memory who looked just like Kuon. This girl was hired as the family maid and later on was discovered to be pregnant. The house made a plan where the maid would give birth and Kuon would raise the child as the family heir. But the child did not like Kuon and instead preferred the maid, and the stress drove Kuon to an early death. With their resemblance, Kuon was replaced with the maid who was renamed Kuon, and her daughter was given the maid's real name of Rene to carry on the family. After Setsuna left Never Island, Rene couldn't live without him and decided to use the pod that he arrived in to also send herself back in time to be with him. But she arrived too early, and when Setsuna lost his memories, she thought it would be better if he fell in love with the new Rene instead of with his own wife, Kuon. After discovering the truth, Setsuna tells Rene that he's actually her father, which was kinda creepy, and he runs to Kuon to be with her. In a very powerful scene of conquering all and sacrificing everything to be with the person you love, we see Kuon and Setsuna reunite and show their love. For someone in a long-distance relationship, this show can really hit you harder than Never Island Karen kick Setsuna in the balls. Being a sci-fi drama, looking at the show with the lens of everything needing to be realistic and make sense is gonna kill the show for you. And some loose ends do exist that weren't fixed, but this show is worth the watch. Until today, I had no thoughts that any show could end up competing with Angels of Death for Anime of the Season. But now, Island might just be running for my Anime of the Year. Island pulls off the difficulties of love and relationship better than most shows I've seen. And I didn't expect what seemed to be like such a dumb show 5 episodes in to hit me the way that it did. Relationships aren't easy, and even though you won't literally have to go across time, although I literally do because time zones are a thing, to be with somebody, you'll have to deal with pain, sacrifice, and many more obstacles to make everything work out. The music for this episode is from Winter's End, the soundtrack to the game I Am Setsuna. I Am Setsuna, aside from the obvious connection with the name Setsuna, fits perfectly with Island. The themes of time, love, and winter flow so effortlessly into Island that I just had to match the two together. I beg you, if you've watched Island and felt something strong, that you also go play I Am Setsuna. Not just because it's my favorite video game, but because although completely separate, it can hit you the same way and deserves a mention in this video. Thanks for watching. Check your screen for the best of Kino playlist because this video deserves so much more than only 1am anime, and my last Island video instead of a video YouTube seems to think you'll dork out over. Or check the description for anything that you need. Well, peace weebs.